My name's Rebecca Gallagher, and I am an AI compliance manager working for the Weir Group. Well, I would say, first of all, that compliance is something that we have to do, whilst ethics is something that we should do. And my advice really would be, in the first case, ditch the copy and paste of frameworks and principles from other companies, because it's really important to find what works best for your organization, what works best for your culture within your organization, and for your AI strategy. And within your AI strategy, you need to know what your AI risk appetite as well is. So that's why it's important to, obviously there's always some overlap with different companies, but it's really important to also tailor it for the specific needs of your organization. I would think as well, another key point in this technological revolution is having multi-lens talent. And what I mean by that is that, for example, if you've got data scientists who are developing AI models, that even though they have the strong technical lens on it, if they're developing AI solutions that have impact on people, for example, that they have a strong ethical lens as well on how these AI tools can impact people and how they can mitigate risks associated with that. And finally, in terms of ethics, I would say lead with a sense of duty and prioritize doing the right thing over short-term gains, which can be very attractive at the moment in this technological revolution that we're living through. Yeah, so I think that, short-term cost saving can sometimes be a bit of a business illusion. And I think that if, customer and partner confidence is sacrificed for short-term gains, companies can see themselves in risky situations. So, for example, I think a key topic at the moment is avoiding the talent trap. It might look very attractive on quarterly balance sheets that you've reduced head count and you've reduced cost to be able to kind of embed automation through technology. But if you're extracting the human talent and business historical knowledge that people have, you're really bleeding the company from the core knowledge that's needed to scale AI safely and sustainably over time in the long run. And the other thing that I would also kind of highlight with this is that there's a lot of unproven tech as well out there at the moment. We really need to make sure that the technology that we're rolling out in our organization, in our industry, is fit for purpose and proven, because it may be proven in other contexts, but not necessarily in our organizations. So it's really important when evaluating these short-term gains, if really in the long run, it's aligned with our AI strategy and our organizational needs. I would say that obviously most organizations will have their core business values that they will always try to align with. And that's existed, long before AI came into the picture. So that is the North Star for companies. But within that, you need to kind of double click to understand, okay, what does this mean in practice in the AI landscape? And what does it mean in practice for our customers, for our culture, for our employees, and as we roll this out? So it is a bit of a deep dive, into the business values, but also bringing that AI risk lens into it as well. Yeah, I think, in a fast changing world and this constantly moving landscape, it's really important that companies stay agile, but also that they have strong governance foundations. And what we've really focused on is having a strong human-centric framework that really looks at strong accountability across the business, where AI risk is owned across the enterprise. It's not just, buried within technical teams or compliance teams, but it's something that's owned across the board. And this is really key. And, with this, we need robust structures in place as well, and forums where there's a culture of collaboration. But at the same time, we need the right people around the right table at the right time to be able to ask the right questions, provide the right guidance, identify risk, as well as identifying business value and opportunities. So in order to have that, you also need to have strong AI literacy programs in place to make sure that you're empowering people at every level of the business to enable them to make those right decisions. Yeah, so for example, from a strategic level, you could be looking at an AI solution that there's an area of the business that are interested in procuring to deploy within the business. Is this AI solution or use case in line with our AI strategy as a company? What business value is it bringing? But also what risks is it exposing at the same time? Likewise, is it within our risk appetites? Are the risks properly understood and proportionately controlled? Is there the right human oversight over these use cases that are being evaluated? So all these questions, in order to answer them correctly and accurately, you really need to have the right level of knowledge to be able to do that. Yeah, this is really interesting topic. And I think what we really need to do is, as we're democratizing AI and it's becoming something that everybody's interacting with, we really need to simplify, and we need to take complex data science information and make it human readable information that everybody understands. So for example, simplifying nutrition labels, it's a bit of a jargon word, but it's a common term to kind of understand what are the risks with this AI model, what are the possible bias that it could have, what are the possibilities of drift that it has, what are its limitations. And this is really important because if you think about it, if somebody, for example, in HR is procuring an AI solution from a third-party vendor, they need to have clarity and understand through transparency what limitations or what possible bias this AI model could have, to understand the level of human oversight that they need to have as well of the outputs. So this is really key, and it needs to be understandable for everybody. And the other thing that I would also say around readiness is that context is king. Make sure that the AI solution that you're rolling out is fit for purpose for your context. Because an AI solution that's tested maybe in a factory in Detroit, let's say, might not be fit for purpose or might have additional risks for a factory in London, for example. So it's really important that we understand the context and the purpose and the limitations of AI solutions. So I think we've moved from the wow phase into the how phase now, and we're moving from AI assistants to automated agents. And with automated agents, we really need strong governance. We need strong oversight, and we really need to embed the people, processes and tools and that culture of collaboration to make sure that they're being rolled out safely and sustainably. But also, going back to that AI literacy side, we need employees and teams that are empowered and that have the right information to make the right decisions and really be able to, roll these AI solutions out at scale, bring business value, but also do it in a safe and sustainable way that's going to be able to be managed in time in the long run.